Dux-Soup webinar. My name is Giles Garnett and I'm Head of Professional Services here at Dux-Soup. We're delighted to be able to bring you today another webinar being presented by one of our users who will share with you his knowledge and experience. How to make sales more human through automation will be presented to you by Jeroen Korthout, who is the co-founder of SalesFlare. For those who don't know, SalesFlare is a powerful CRM that automates data to build better relationships and win more business. Prior to SalesFlare, Jeroen was helping companies to implement new CRMs, marketing and sales processes. So he's very well qualified to present for us all today. He'll provide some insights into his experiences and share some of his secret sauce with the tools and methods he uses for his lead gen, which includes Dux-Soup, of course. Also, for your information, Jeroen has also today published via his Founder Coffee podcast and blog page an interview with the founder of Dux-Soup, Will van der Sun. As always, this session's being recorded and a link will be emailed to everyone who's registered. The full webinar will also be made available in the coming days via our usual channels, the website and the YouTube channel. The live chat is being monitored by Jin, our Head of Customer Support, and myself today. And as always, we will have a Q&A session at the end of the webinar. So without further delay, may I introduce Jeroen Korthout, and I will stop sharing my screen and hand over to Jeroen.
Hey everyone, nice to meet you all. Like Giles already said, I'm Jeroen Korthout, co-founder and CEO of SalesFlare. Actually, just in the chat, it's disappearing very fast. I shared the interview that I did with Will. It's on foundercoffee.salesflare.com. And you can, it's very interesting actually. We talk about all the different aspects of business and how Dux-Soup actually deals with these things. But without further ado, I'll start sharing my screen and we can go into our automation menu for today because I have some stuff prepared for you guys. So let me share my entire screen. It's going to create a tunnel. So if all is good, you should now be able to see my screen. And what I'll talk about today is how to make sales more human through automation. I'm going to show a series of different ways to automate your sales flow. One of those includes Dux-Soup and some other products. But first, a bit more about me, perhaps. So I'm Jeroen, again, co-founder and CEO of SalesFlare. SalesFlare, in essence, is an easier and more automated CRM for small and medium-sized businesses selling B2B. And what distinguishes us most from many of our competitors, like for instance, Pipedrive or HubSpot, is that in SalesFlare, you don't have to do all the nasty data input. Nowadays, Pipedrive and HubSpot also sync in some information automatically, but SalesFlare is really built on top of existing data. And when you use it, you can see that many flows are really assuming that the data is already available in your inbox, your calendar, your phone, social media, company databases, email tracking, web tracking. And SalesFlare will help you surface that data rather than thinking in a sort of paradigm of manual data input. It actually takes automated data input first, but still allows you to edit CRM data manually, which means that our system is really, really well used because the main issue with CRM systems is usually that there is no input, and we solve that. But enough about SalesFlare. My background is in personally in well, I'm an engineer by background, but I immediately ended up in marketing and sales. I worked in pharma first. Then for a while in an agency that helped life sciences companies in general to rethink their marketing and sales and all that. And I've long been in software, first building websites and now building things like SalesFlare. And I'm a big believer in the fact that automation can make us more human. That's something we'll see developing, I think, in the next few years. Automation is still very much in its sort of beginning phases. and a lot of people are not using it exactly in the right ways. But I'm sure that will change, and automation will actually help us to focus more on what makes us as salespeople, or generally as people, more human. So if you want to get in touch with me, you can follow me on Twitter. To really get in touch with me, LinkedIn is a better place. Do include a message to say that you come from this webinar, or you can always email me at jeroen@salesflare.com. So what I have prepared for you today is a menu. So let's get cooking. It is actually a menu of customer delights. Our starter is automated email flows to website visitors with a flair of sales. Then we'll get to the main course, LinkedIn connecting with signups served with a soup of duck. I'm sure you know what that refers to. And then as a dessert, a zappalione of customer review automation. So as you can see, the different automation plates go through the funnel, actually, from turning website visitors into prospects, and then from signups to connecting deeper to really current customers that you ask reviews from. Let's get into the starter. So the first one is automated email flows to website visitors with a flair of sales. What do you need for this? First of all, website visitors. If you don't get website visitors, you cannot send them automated emails. But when you have a website with traffic, all you need to then do is get Leadworks and get Salesflare and use the email workflows. In terms of difficulty, this is the easiest automation I will show you today. So I will run you through this now in practice. Slides will be available, so you'll be able to go through the PDF and basically figure it out yourself again. That's why it's pretty detailed. I will now run through it sort of high level, so you have an idea what it is and you could recreate it. So, like I said, we have website visitors on the left on our site, and when these website visitors pass on our site, they start getting emails saying like, hey, we noticed you came on the Salesforce website, probably searching for a good CRM. What are you exactly looking for? I can maybe help you. So how does that work? First of all, you use Leadworks. Leadworks is the same as, for instance, Leadfeeder or Leadberry or many other sort of scripts you put in your site that then will start identifying your website visitors, mainly based on their IP address. So you see that little script there, I indicated in yellow. You paste that in your site, that's all you need to do, and from then Leadworks will start working. Then you can integrate Leadworks to Salesflare. Just use an API key in Salesflare, put that in, and it will start working. And you can immediately say, like, if Leadworks identified leads on your site, which sales pipeline and which stage in that sales pipeline do the opportunities that are linked to these customers, where do they need to end up? Then to automate the whole thing, you can create a workflow in Leadworks. And in that workflow, you can very nicely specify, like, what are the industries that are interesting to you? Like, you only want to get leads from specific industries. You can set the company sizes, so that's what it's called employee here. You can say like, oh, okay, we only want companies between 1 and 200 employees. That's what I set here. You can select specific countries if you want. If only specific countries are relevant to you, that you can set that. You can define to have it on certain URLs, not on other URLs. And the last thing is also very interesting. So if you synchronize Salesflare with Leadworks, Leadworks will automatically keep track of who is linked to a won or a lost deal or is already in the CRM, so it doesn't start doing things double and doesn't start contacting current customers, for instance. Then you can specify not only just on the company level, but also which people at these companies you want to get in touch with. I set here to have CEOs, marketers, salespeople of different roles. with valid emails. And what Leadworks will then do is it will, when it identifies the companies, also search for contacts at these companies, and then push those to Salesforce. I set it here to a maximum of 3, so that in further steps, I'm not emailing more than 3 people with the same automated email. Then in Salesforce, all I need to do is set up a workflow as well. What is called a workflow in Salesforce is different than what is a workflow in Leadworks. It's basically a sequence of emails. It's an email workflow. In that email workflow at the top, specify that the contact matches the opportunity stage in which the opportunities land, which you set totally in the beginning. Then set this checkbox that says that every new contact that matches this filter gets an email. And you can, for instance, set it to contact replies to any email. Then it will keep sending the email until the contact replies. So that's the goal, but also a reason for it to stop. And that's all you need to do. After that, you can define the follow-up emails below, and things will just start working for you. It will track all the interactions, all the data will become available, and you will just start getting replies from there. Very easy, very easy. And a good way of actually getting all the people to visit on your site, like to get in touch with more people, but because very often you just lose them. They get to your site, they don't contact you, and you don't get in touch. This can help with that. Let's get to the main course. And the main course is the one that is served with a soup of duck. What is the ingredient here? That's new signups.
Jeroen, may I just interrupt a second?
Yeah.
A few people are having problems reading the text on some of the slides. So I don't know if maybe if you turn your video off, there'll be more bandwidth for the text or something. Or
I think we also established that I could share the specific app. Huh? Let me do that.
Yeah.
It's
quite blurry, so people are struggling to see that. So
yeah, I will share the app window. Can you tell me now whether when I go to presentation mode, you still see presentation mode?
Can see your slides. Yeah, can see the
in presentation mode, right?
Yep, I can see that fine.
Perfect.
All right, we'll try that. Hopefully that improves the resolution for everyone. Thank you.
Yeah, let me know if it doesn't. And as said, you also get slides after. So I hope that will definitely be more readable if this doesn't work. So the ingredients we have here are new signups. This can be to your app if you have some kind of online software like we do, but it can also be signups for your email list or people who book meetings with you. All these kind of things are possible. If you have new people sort of getting in touch with you, then or signing up for something, then this is a possibility. You'll need 3 things: Zapier, APIify, and Dux-Soup. Zapier is a tool with which you can make automated flows between different apps. It's the most widely supported one out there. There's alternatives like Integromat is the main alternative actually, but supports a bit less apps. I'm using Zapier here. APIify is a tool with which you can turn, let's say, how do I explain clearly? What I'm using it for here is actually to call an API that then does a Google search. So from Zapier, I can just say to APIify, do a Google search. That's it. And then APIify will give me back the results. And then Dux-Soup, which you all know, is one of the leading LinkedIn automation platforms out there. That's what I personally use. I use Dux-Soup Turbo, which is not specified here, but is required for this, because Dux-Soup Turbo allows you to actually tell Dux-Soup from Zapier what to do. And optionally, you also need a virtual desktop server, so you just don't need to have your computer on all the time, because Dux-Soup only runs when it's running in your browser, of course. So if you close your laptop, it's not running. So I set up a virtual desktop server for myself on which Dux-Soup is running day and night. So again, signups, and they get automated connection requests. How does this work in Zapier? I'm going to show it in 7 steps. Actually, it is a bit shorter even, but I use the delay here in step 3 to make sure that there's actually results, and then a few steps to make sure that it only continues when there are results. After that, we also have some other steps we do here at the bottom right, but that's optional. So you could do some other stuff in other systems also. So first step for us is to have a new user in our MySQL database. Here's some instructions. I'm not going to run through it on how you can make sure that this works on a MySQL database. If you, for instance, have a MailChimp list, it works in a very similar way. You might need a little in-between step that compiles this Google search. You can make a Zapier text step, which you can then send to API-5, or you can actually do it in API-5 fields itself. Let me show you that. So API-5, you use this actor. That's the one for a Google search. So you could copy that from the PDF. Just specify that actor at the top. Run synchronously no. Then as input body, use the following, and then you could specify what I specified in the previous step here in queries. So it does a query, just to go back. It does a query in Google on site linkedin.com/in. Then the first name, then the last name, and then the company name. As easy as that. And what you'll find in Google then is the right Google LinkedIn profile for a person. Then a few things about input contact type and all that. Not super interesting, just like put the same thing and it will work. Then I put a delay to wait for API-5 to find results. Put 5 minutes here. That's not at all necessary. You could also put a minute, which is the minimum in Zapier. Then I go get the search results from API-5. Basically, from step 2, you get this dataset items file URLs JSON back. You use that in the URL. Send us JSON, and that's all. That will work. And then you get actually the search results back. If there is a search result, continue. That's what this step does. If there's no search result, don't continue, because otherwise it will start throwing errors if there's nothing. Then with a Zapier transform step, you can split things. So I'm splitting this URL, so organic results URL into just one, because there might be multiple. Just copy this code in there and that will work as well. And then the next step is very easy. Then you just take the URL that you have as a result from the previous steps, and you put that here in the Dux-Soup step at the top. And at the bottom, you can make a message template, just like you always do in Dux-Soup. So you can use fields like first name and company name and all that. That's all specified in the Dux-Soup documentation. What kind of stuff you can use, and try to make that look very personal and informal and helpful. Not trying to sell anything to people, and use it as a way to connect with people. So I personally have this set up for us, and every new person that makes a Salesflare trial account actually gets a connection request from me. If at least we have their company name, then we can find them, and that adds a lot of personal connection beyond the usual to our customer relationships. A few pro tips for master LinkedIn chefs. Like I already said, offer to connect and to help. Don't sell. People are really spammed on LinkedIn nowadays. So much automation going on. that people are sort of averse, like with emails. So always take it from a human perspective. Think about what you would like to receive and what you would respond on, and do that, which mainly means stay human. And very often people don't respond to the first message. I can tell you that out of experience. After that, you can just follow up manually after they accept your connection. Dux-Soup also has something built in with which you can do it automatically, but I prefer to then start taking the personal approach and adapt my messages to the person. So that's why I'm saying take a moment to check their LinkedIn profile and website so you can send something personal. It is so much more effective than something generic. And really start building a relationship there. Then for dessert, we have something tasty as well. This is something we also do at Salesflare, and that's if people give us great NPS scores. So that means that if we ask how likely are you to recommend Salesflare to a friend or colleague, they give us a 9 or a 10. Then we will automatically start asking them, like, could you review us? Obviously, again, they're doing it in a friendly way. The things you need is an NPS tool. Anything is possible there. We used to use Growth Score until recently, but that was discontinued. Now we use Refiner.io. You need Zapier again to make the automation flow between the different apps, and then again the Salesforce email workflows to start sending these automated emails from your inbox. This one is a bit easier than the last one, especially because it doesn't involve the whole API-FI thing, so it's easier for you to reproduce. So at the bottom left, you see somebody giving an NPS score. At the right, they start getting the emails. So this is very easy in Zapier. This year is growth score, but basically a new incoming NPS score and growth score. In Zapier, you make a filter that says only continue if it's a 9 or a 10. You can put it lower as well, of course. The reviews you will get will obviously be a bit less good. Then as a next step, you do a find contact step in Salesflare, where you find the contact in Salesflare using the email address that you got from the first step, from the NPS tool. And then in the fourth step, you will add the NPS promoter tag to that contact. You just have to take the ID, so the ID of the contact you get back in the third step, put that as a contact ID at the top in contact, and as tag, just type whatever you want. I have NPS promoter here. It doesn't matter what you make, as long as then in the next step in Salesflare, when you create an email workflow there, you filter in the entry if you take contact matches, contact tag is NPS promoter, and then it will automatically start sending emails to these people. Then set the checkbox to email contacts or matches filter in the future too, so it's something that keeps running. Anytime somebody is tagged with NPS promoter, they start getting emails. And then set the goal to contact replies to any email and start defining your emails. So for instance, what you can do is hi, first name, and it will automatically put the first name there. And if there's no first name, we'll just say hi there. That's what the fallback is here. Thanks for giving Salesflare a great score. This is a gift that says it's Brad Pitt kissing. And then it asks in a friendly way below that, it's like, okay, you want to give a review? Here's the link to G2 and the one to Capterra. I think it's only G2 there. And then people can click on that and immediately give us a review. Now, if you're getting hungry from all this automation, a few tips to keep the sales automation healthy. And that's, in essence, to only automate when it helps you become more human at scale. So if you feel that automation will make you appear to the customer as less human, then try to refrain from it. And if you can, always try to make sure that it makes you look better with the customer, or look the same but make that you have less work. So automation, the way we look at it at Salesforce is about spending less time on robotic tasks. So for instance, as a salesperson, it doesn't make a lot of sense that salespeople spend their time inputting data into a CRM, sending follow-up emails that are the same for every customer, these kind of things. That's not what a salesperson is like naturally made for. A salesperson is there to have empathy, to listen to customers, to come up with solutions, these kind of things. So part of the job is better automated by computers, and part of the job, that's where you should spend your time. So automation should be used to sort of spend less time on things that make you more of a robot and spend more time on things that make you more of a human. In general, when you try to do that, when you start automating and you don't do it manually first, the danger is that you might feel a bit disconnected from the people you're in touch with. So it's good to always do it manually first. It also helps you to then really feel how something is best done, iterate on it quickly, and as soon as you start feeling that it becomes routine and you've nailed your approach, that's the moment that it's best to automate, because then that's the moment that you can start letting it go and let the computers take over. Same applies, for instance, also when you're delegating to other people. It's good to do it first yourself as an entrepreneur, feel how it works, and then you know so much better how it needs to work and what kind of people you need to hire and all that. When you start feeling how it works, that's when you can delegate or automate. As a little bonus, we offer at Salesforce 25% off for 3 months if you use Automate Me on sign up. And we also asked deals to the other tools, and we received one from APIFI. You can get 10% off for 6 months, and from Leadworks as well, where you can get 25% off for 12 months. Again, these discount codes will also be in the presentation after this. So if you don't have time now to write it down, you will receive it. That's it, and I'm happy to take any questions you may have now. Charles is also there to take any questions regarding Dux-Soup.
I have a couple of questions. So one customer asked you to clarify the NPCs tool you are using.
NPS.
Yeah, NPS, sorry.
We're using refiner.io. Let me put that in the chat as well. It is in general a tool with which you can send surveys to users of your software. So it's all purpose. It's really well priced. The guys behind it are really dedicated to make it something good. The design is great. I must say, in general, it works really well. So we've started using it for NPS, and we're now expanding it to other uses. Like, for instance, asking our users where they come from, whether they come from this webinar or a podcast or Google or whatever. That's a survey we're launching now.
Is it possible to create an opportunity in Salesforce once someone responds to a message on LinkedIn?
Is that possible? I think you can get that from Dux-Soup, yes. I think Dux-Soup Turbo detects new messages. So if that's the case, then you can. It's all dependent on whether Dux-Soup can trigger on this. Yeah, but I do think so, yeah.
Yeah, Dux-Soup will identify when you get messages into your inbox and can then trigger an appropriate action through Zapier or Integromat.
Yeah, I thought so, yeah. I haven't set that up myself, but I think I saw that, yeah.
Yeah, indeed.
Thank you. Any suggestions for virtual desktop service?
Yeah, we run Salesforce on Google Cloud. So for me, spinning up an extra server there is very easy. It is rather cheap also. I think we pay 40 a month or so in euros. for a virtual Microsoft server. It's basically like a device that runs Windows, and not even the cheapest one, because we added some extra power to always have Dux-Soup work well in the Chrome browser. So that's what I would recommend, but there's probably lots of other services out there for this.
Thank you. A question on setup. Does it work with the COVID-19 situation where people are working from home?
Definitely. In some cases, things work even better, especially if you're a bit more human. I think the whole COVID situation made that we are more receptive to more human messages and even less receptive to more salesy messages.
And that's the only questions I have.
There's Doug is saying there Amazon Cloud also has a free option for Windows virtual servers. Then Frank says, is Zapier required if we only want to use Dux-Soup to automate connections on LinkedIn? No, it is not required. Zapier is good if you're connecting tools. So if in one tool something happens and you want to make it happen something in another app, then Zapier is really great. And it also has a lot of other small things in there, but to automate connections with Dux-Soup, no, you don't need to.
Is it possible to create different pipelines in Salesforce? Like LinkedIn?
Yeah, definitely. We have about 15 pipelines ourselves. Like for instance, the Leadworks thing that I showed in the beginning, the starter. I've set up a separate Leadworks pipeline for that. Next to our customers pipeline, larger prospects pipeline, partners pipeline, investors pipeline, visibility partners pipeline, and lots of others. Then Jacob asks, when people aren't in the office, can Leadworks recognize where they work? They told me they have been working on that very actively. Yes, that's a problem they initially faced in COVID. But then they started finding solutions for that. I don't know the details. These kind of companies that gather this kind of data are usually quite secretive about how it all works, because the data is sort of borderline-ish. So I don't know details, but yes, they've adapted to this. Valis asks why recognizing where I work from is important. So this to frame the question of Jacob, what Leeworks does is when somebody comes on your site, it knows from which company that person is, and that then helps you to know like which companies are visiting my site. Leadworks helps with that, and then to get in touch with these companies, Leadworks will also find the relevant contacts at these companies, and that's how you then can easily get in touch.
Questions, guys, via live chat? Welcome.
I will perhaps immediately upload the presentation in the handouts. Let me do that. So people can already get it there. It's currently uploading. If any more questions come up in the meantime, it's at 30% already. I don't see the questions right now, so if there's any popping up, let me know.
Can you integrate LinkedIn messages to Salesforce, and can you put them in a sales funnel?
LinkedIn messages as such, through Dux-Soup and Zapier, yes. And that's because Dux-Soup picks them up in your browser. So Dux-Soup will start checking in your browser which messages come in. Why is this all necessary? It's because LinkedIn basically does not allow anyone to integrate with the LinkedIn messages, not in the personal LinkedIn, in the LinkedIn Sales Navigator, but that's specific to LinkedIn Sales Navigator messages. It does integrate with things like Microsoft Dynamics, because LinkedIn is from Microsoft now, and to a few Microsoft Dynamics competitors, because they cannot have a monopoly legally. But that's all enterprise CRM, so CRMs for big companies. You can see that a lot of people are clicking on the slides.
Yeah, another question. We have best practices with Dux-Soup. How do you make powerful connections that can turn into clients?
There's a few different approaches, but I generally recommend. So, for instance, when like using some empathy, when people sign up for our software, what they want most is, so I'm, as the co-founder and CEO, reaching out to them, saying like, I think my message is, hi, first name, welcome to the Salesforce family. It's nice to have you joining us. Let me know if you have any feedback or questions. So that's a very open, helpful, thankful message that acknowledges the specific situation. Things that have been working earlier for me is when you're connecting with a very specific target group that you're also part of, say something like, hi, first name, really enjoy getting in touch with fellow SaaS founders, and then something that acknowledges how is it at account name, like company name, question mark. But I don't know whether that really works anymore. That was in a time that there was a bit of less of LinkedIn spamming. The more you can make it informal and helpful and human and all that, I think the better it will work.
Spam folder with your emails.
Avoid being put in spam folder is a very broad topic. There's a, I'll give a few tips very quickly. First, don't use email service providers to send your outreach emails. It won't work. So no MailChimp or so. Do it with a tool like Salesflare or any of the reply.io or Mailshake or whatever, to send from your own inbox, because then it is actually your domain's credibility that is used to define whether it's a good email or not, and that not the one of MailChimp or so, which is used by other people as well. Use things like SPF and DKIM signage on your emails. That's on the DNS settings, things you can set to authenticate your email as well. Don't use spammy words, but that's just, I would say in general, a good approach to take there as well is to be useful and target very well, because as soon as people start marking your messages as spam, that will start deteriorating the credibility of your domain from which you email, which will quickly lead to your messages ending up in spam, especially if they all look the same, then the chances are even higher that they end up in spam.
Your most successful first LinkedIn message?
I think I mentioned a few earlier, so I don't think I can go much deeper than that. I would really always recommend to not just take anything, but to imagine in what state the person is, what they would enjoy receiving first, and what will make them connect the most, instead of trying to take a generic approach.
There are no questions in the live chat at the moment. Thank you.
Okay, well, I'd like to say a massive thank you to Jeroen for his time today. I think it's been a really interesting insight As you say, the slides have been downloaded by an awful lot of you, so you can now get your teeth into those and actually hopefully be able to see everything that's on there. It was a little bit blurry to start with. Apologies for that. We are working on trying to improve things with regards to the quality of the webinars. I will also recommend once again downloading or having a visit to the Founder Coffee podcast that Jeroen recorded with Will. I had to listen to it earlier today. It was a very interesting insight into in that discussion. And just a heads up for everyone, in 2 weeks' time, we'll be doing a Getting Started with Dux-Soup Pro, sort of a beginner's guide to Dux-Soup, sort of starting off for those who are starting out. We always have a real mix of, thank you, Jeroen, for sharing the link there. We always have a good mix of starters and everything. So we'll be recapping Dux-Soup Pro in 2 weeks' time, and then 2 weeks after that we'll be doing the same again with Dux-Soup Turbo, covering any of the new features, any of the recent features that we've been adding over the recent past. So thank you very much for your time, Jeroen, and maybe we'll speak to you again sometime. And thank you, everybody. And as always, the recording of this will be available shortly.
Cool.
Thank you, everyone. Bye bye.
Nice to do this session. Thank you all.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.